Tony D and Little Joan, a screenwriter's rant on, yes, it dropped, the Crow reboot. Alright, let's do this. Smash a like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books. The links are in the description. Comedy Horror in South Jersey. It's the Pineys. Books 1 through 13, available at Amazon.com. Don't forget, Kindle Unlimited is free. Speaking of which, I will be in Waterford, New Jersey tomorrow at 3 p.m. for the St. Patty's Day market. It's really in Acco. It's on Acco Ave. I'm not sure when it goes to, but it goes throughout the afternoon. If it rains, it'll be on Sunday. I don't think it's going to rain. So I think we're good. Anyhow, Bill Skarsgard. Is that how you say his name? Skarsgard? He's the Crow. And look, he's okay as an actor. I don't mind him. They kind of put him in a situation where he kind of can't win this one. Because there's a couple of factors here. Here's the bad guy. He's always a good heavy, this guy. I forget his name. He's in everything. You want to work steady in Hollywood, be a heavy, as they say. Robert Davi was a heavy for many years. Anyhow, it's the Crow. You know this story. Does it follow the movie? Doesn't appear to. No. The original movie. Does it follow the comic book? Oh, no. Nope, don't see that. Because if I recall correctly, the comic book, Eric Draven had a great car. Him and his girlfriend go out, and then a gang of thugs do horrible things to his girlfriend, shoot him, or kill her, and then shoot him, leave him in a ditch to die. All right? All over his car. Pretty random sort of fight. What do they do in this? Well, they amp the Crow's powers up to 10. But we had to understand the original comic, it was pretty murky if the Crow had powers at all. I think at one point he ends up in the hospital, maybe right in the beginning. And then the idea is, during the big fight scene, he's so pumped full of drugs. He just takes a bunch of drugs and injects himself. And the idea is not like he has superpowers. It's just that, he's probably so drugged up, he's not feeling anything. And then he gets his revenge. This turns him into sort of like a superhero. So is that the Crow? No, that's not the Crow at all. The original movie, in that aspect, kind of came close. It didn't have the car. Well, it had the car in it, but it wasn't Eric's for some reason. Eric Draven's the main character, by the way. That's Bill Skarsgård. I mean, he sort of looks like the Crow. Not really. Which is another I mean, that's an easy fix, right? That's like the easiest fix ever. Screenplay by Zach Balin and William Schneider. Directed by Rupert Sanders. Based on the comic book series and comic strip by James O'Barr. I met James O'Barr a bunch of times. He kind of a sad guy. Kind of sad. Very depressed about. I mean, the reason he wrote the comic was he had tragedy in his life. But he seemed to do well kind of after that. Had the hottest girlfriend after that, I'll tell you. Whew. Anyhow. So when they remake a movie, which they shouldn't even do, unless the movie's so terrible, in which case, why are you even bothering? I mean, the whole point of remaking or rebooting a movie is supposed to be, the audience is going to come back and it's a guaranteed winner. Guaranteed winner. So the only movies that really need rebooting or remaking are movies that did terrible, which you wouldn't want to do. So instead, you end up rebooting or remaking a bunch of movies that were a hit that you didn't need to do. And that's The Crow. Some people would call it a classic. I wouldn't go that far, but it's a good movie. I liked it. I liked the music at the time. Great soundtrack on The Crow. I was a little worried about it. because they promoted the soundtrack, and I always see that as a red flag, but it had a great soundtrack. And the movie was, it was good. I liked it. I didn't love it. I liked it. Um, there were some problems, of course. I mean, Brandon Lee died, and then they had to finish the movie. It was almost done. So that impacted the movie, obviously. But it turned out to be a big hit, possibly because Brandon Lee died. I'm not sure. But this, I feels like you should have just done a different movie. Like, it's so far afield from the original. I think you should have just done a different movie. If you're going to give the crows superpowers, and they did this in the sequels more so than the original movie, you know, it's not the same. The whole point, I think, of the original comic was you weren't sure what was going on. He might have superpowers. He just might be on a tear of vengeance. And there's a great moment in the comic where he hasn't, up until this point, he's in the middle of the big fight at the end. And up until this point, he hasn't done anything super spectacular. Not necessarily. He's done a bunch of stuff, and he's been injured, but like he seems to shrug it off. And then a guy brings down a katana, and he goes like this, and he catches the blade. And in that moment in the comic, you realize, oh boy, nothing is going to stop Eric. There was some doubt prior to that moment, but at that moment you realize, oh, all these guys are going to die. And then at that moment you kind of are brought into the idea of like, yeah, he's here for his vengeance. And the ending in the comic is Eric probably dies. It's not definite, but it's kind of murky. But yeah, he probably dies. But then I think he did some other... It was such a big hit, I think he did some other comics after that. But so if you're gonna redo this movie, my advice, the first thing I would have done is I would say we're gonna do the comic like exactly. That would have been my thing. I would have said we're gonna do the comic book. We're gonna do it almost exact as close to the comic as we can. That would have been first. So the comic is much more brightly lit. It doesn't look like a soundstage, a Gotham soundstage, like Gotham Batman soundstage. And the movie did that too. That's not the look of the comic. Some of it was, like the end fight maybe, but a lot of it, especially in the opening scenes, were bright. The other thing I would do is I would get all the cast members from the first movie. I'd put them in a background scene, like in a bar or something. Just put them in the background to have a shot of all them. If I could, I would have gotten like Brandon Lee's estate's permission to put like a framed photo of him on the wall in the back of the bar or something. I don't know if there's a bar scene in The Crow. I think there is, maybe. It would have been a cool sort of homage to the original cast and all that. Kind of taking it back to its roots. But that all being said, I would have followed the comic. This, Hollywood is utterly obsessed because there's so many egos out there. Creative and, guys who wear suits and just push the money, who just want to put their own mark on everything. And this clearly kind of looks that way, on top of the fact it kind of looks like it's going to be a franchise now. That couldn't be further from, I think, the original intent of the comic. And even the first movie. The first movie was such a hit, they did sequels, but back then they weren't sequel obsessed. I don't know if Brandon Lee had lived, if the movie would have done as well. Maybe it would have done okay, and that would have been it. Or maybe Brandon would have done a sequel, which would have been at least more authentic. But this was a very personal project for James O'Barr. And this movie doesn't feel very personal at all. It feels like big budget Hollywood epic story. And there are some stories you want to tell using big budget Hollywood. Lord of the Rings. That's a big budget Hollywood thing. You want that to be epic and have big money behind it. You want everything. It's a book that's a classic book um, that everybody knows. You know, Louis L'Amour, he's a Western guy, right? You know, big famous books and famous TV shows and movies. You do want to bring Hollywood's money to bear on them. You know, if you're going to do, you know, like when they redid The Fugitive as a movie, it wasn't great, but the one thing Hollywood had to offer would be like, well, this is a movie, so this is going to be all one big thing, and it's going to be epic. This should not have all that epicness in it. I mean, it's too rich. It's overproduced. Crows are everywhere. Like literally every panel, every frame of this movie is going to have crows flying in the background, like Batman with the bats. It's just too much. It's not even rich. It's an assault on the senses. And they've got like sounds like a Ozzy Osbourne song in the background. Doesn't quite fit. Doesn't quite fit. It should have been probably unknown bands. If you could have gotten emo guys, they're still around, or goth guys, that would have been best. Ozzy Osbourne, that's who it is. I think it is. Sounds just like him. No, he's too old. It's a wrong era. So a lot of mistakes here. A lot of mistakes. Will people gravitate towards this? Well, people are lazy. They're very lazy. And, you know, again, not everybody follows movies like you or me. So they just kind of skim the headlines and like, oh, The Crow. I sort of remember The Crow. Maybe I'll go see that. And that really is what will drive this box office, I think. Will word of mouth? Maybe. But I think the original fans of the movie and the comic will work against it. I think the original fans of the movie will say, nope, don't like it, too much, too crazy. It's not doing well on YouTube. I mean, they had a terrible launch for the first still. Terrible. I mean, everybody hated Bill in this outfit. His hair's short. I mean, how easy is it to just give him long hair? How easy would it be to just say, Bill, we want you to have long hair in this and look like the comic character? It's like the same problem they had with the early Punisher movie with Dolph Lundgren. The Punisher's just a guy who shoots people in a skull t-shirt, essentially. And then they didn't give him the shirt. If you can imagine the meeting. Yeah, I think we'll take this shirt. Isn't he just a guy in a shirt who shoots people? Yeah, but we don't need that. We're going to do daggers with skulls. That'll be cooler. Oh, they'll like that. I don't think they did. So the easiest thing in the world would have been, Bill, you got to have long hair for this. So at least he would have looked like Eric. Also, again, I don't know why they do this. I think it's partly because they think star power is worth something. Bill Skarsgard, he's been in a lot of stuff. He's got a bit of star power, but would it really hurt him if they had put him into white makeup after Eric got shot all up and essentially died and comes back to life? He would have looked like an emo. He would have been nice and pale. It would have been otherworldly. It would have helped the supernatural theme you got going here. Nah, it's not really working, in my view. And so you've got the fans, and the YouTube confirms it. The fans are mad. Fans don't like this. You've effed up. And it would have been such an easy fix, right? That first still, if Bill had long hair, like Eric did in the comic, if they had one shot of him, all pale, with the makeup, people would have went, oh, wow, he looks just like him. Oh, maybe this will be good. It would have given the movie a chance. The moment they saw the shot of him with the tattoos were getting old in the 90s, bro. People are so sick of tattoos and everything that just gets repeated over and over again. You had to really kick up your game to sell this thing. The Crow reboot, and you don't kick up your game? I mean, you could have done a lot with this. You could have had some crazy punk bands and the soundtrack, but this is just feels like product. Product, we are Hollywood. Here is your product. Consume. So, am I going to go see this? No. No. Even though I, for some reason, bought a couple of shares of Lionsgate, and I desperately wanted to get over what I paid so I can sell it. It's been down for a long time. This isn't financial advice, by the way. So the 3 acts, you kind of know the 3 acts. I mean, the first act, they kill he's in love, they kill his girlfriend. Second act, he comes back from the dead, starts killing guys, and they can't figure out how is he killing guys. Third act, in this movie, they figure out, oh, it must have something to do with that crow. Well, we'll just strangle the crow or something. Oh no, he's weakening. We'll finally kill him, and then somehow he wins anyway. That's not the way the comic happened. The way the comic happened, you just knew, oh, Eric's unstoppable. He's going to kill all these guys now. There was a question about it for the first, say, 2.5 acts of the comic. But midway through the big fight, you just go, oh, Eric's going to kill all these guys. And then he does. And it's glorious. Even in the movie, which is, again, it's kind of close to that. That's kind of the deal. But yeah, I don't think this is going to be, I'm going to have to get back to you. So let's read the write-up. The Crow coming soon to theaters, starring Bill Skarsgard, FKA Twigs. I don't know what is that? Is that the girl? She's hot. Danny Houston. I think he's the heavy, right? That's the actor who's the heavy all the time. I think that's Danny Houston. He's been in a ton of stuff. I mean, she's really cute. Don't get me wrong, but you know, the whole thing, he's going to kill him in front of his girl, and you know, they accentuate the crow thing, and it sounds like he might save her at the end somehow. Sounds like he saves her at the end. They imply that they do. I don't think Eric should save his girlfriend at the end of this. I know, it'll be quite a downer. This should have been a glorious one-shot movie, even on a reboot. I mean, you had a chance to redeem yourself, Hollywood. You could have said, we're going to do it right this time. We're going to do it as the comic. So, you didn't. Doesn't appear, and the fans are mad. So now you got the fans working against you. So now all the fan reviews will be bad. What are you gonna rotate to the they're all bigots thing? Is that what you're gonna do? I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. And no, I won't see this. I probably won't even see this if it's free, because I'm sure it's gonna get blasted by the nerds, and then I'm gonna be completely unmotivated to see it. So I've got other things to do. Anyhow, that's it for me, Tony D, and Little Joan. Check us out on Odysee, Bitchute, and Rumble for our more base takes. If you can find a more base take, we say, take it. I'll be at ACCO tomorrow at 3 p.m. ACCO, New Jersey. South Jersey, ladies and gentlemen. Should be a nice day. Hope to see you there. See you in the next one.